Tom Cruise has lived one of the biggest lives in Hollywood. His journey includes hit movies, global fame, countless awards, bright smiles on red carpets, and 3 very public marriages. From Mimi Rogers to Nicole Kidman and later Katie Holmes, his love life was always under intense public attention. Yet, the most important role in his life was never one he played on screen. It was the role of being a father to his daughter, Suri Cruise. For many years, fans questioned the relationship between Suri and her famous father, Tom Cruise. Speculation surrounded their bond, with people wondering what truly happened behind closed doors. Now, everything has changed. At just 19 years old, Suri made a move that shocked the world and forced people to ask one painful question: what really happened between father and daughter? In this story, we take a closer look at Tom's personal life, reveal what Suri did that stunned fans, and explore how Tom is quietly reacting behind the scenes. From humble beginnings to global stardom, Thomas Cruise Mappa IV was born on July 3, 1962, and went on to become one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood. He began acting in the early 1980s and quickly stood out for his natural charm and energetic performances. His major breakthrough came with Risky Business in 1983, followed by Top Gun in 1986, where he became a true heartthrob almost overnight. As his career grew, so did the scale of his roles. He earned critical praise for films such as The Color of Money, Rain Man, and Born on the 4th of July. His portrayal of Ron Kovic earned him a Golden Globe Award and his first Academy Award nomination. During the 1990s, Tom completely dominated the box office. Movies like A Few Good Men, The Firm, Interview with the Vampire, and Jerry Maguire cemented his status as one of Hollywood's most reliable stars. His performance in Magnolia later brought him another Golden Globe and yet another Oscar nomination. When the new century arrived, Tom showed no signs of slowing down. He reinvented himself as a major action and science fiction star. Beginning in 1996, he played Ethan Hunt in 8 Mission: Impossible films, a run that continued all the way to The Final Reckoning in 2025. He became famous for performing many of his own dangerous stunts. Films like Minority Report, War of the Worlds, Edge of Tomorrow, and Top Gun: Maverick kept his career stronger than ever. His success shattered records. Tom's films earned more than $13.3 billion worldwide, and he set a Guinness World Record by starring in 7 consecutive movies that each made over $100 million. He received major honors throughout his career, including an Academy Honorary Award and an Honorary Palme d'Or. In late 2024, the U.S. Navy awarded him its highest civilian honor. In 2025, the British Film Institute honored him with its top fellowship for a lifetime of work in film. Yet despite all the fame, fortune, and accolades, many fans would later realize that the biggest drama in Tom's life wasn't playing out on movie screens. It was unfolding quietly behind the scenes, in a personal life that was far from smooth. Tom married actress Mimi Rogers in May 1987. They met through Scientology, where Mimi had grown up and worked as an auditor. It was also through Mimi that Tom was introduced to the Church of Scientology in 1986. Their marriage lasted less than 3 years, ending in divorce in February 1990. In a 1993 Playboy interview, Mimi made headlines when she claimed Tom had once considered becoming a monk, saying it affected their intimacy. She later walked back those comments, explaining she had been misunderstood. A friend later claimed the fallout from that interview was intense. Tom, his agents, and certain studios were reportedly furious about what Mimi had said in Playboy. She was allegedly warned that her career would be over unless she corrected the situation. Mimi eventually received a reported $4 million divorce settlement. During this period, Tom's involvement with Scientology grew stronger. In 1990, tabloids exposed his connection to the church. 2 years later, he publicly confirmed it during an interview with Barbara Walters. He stated that Scientology helped him overcome dyslexia through its teaching methods. By the 2000s, Tom had become one of the church's most outspoken supporters. He developed a close friendship with church leader David Miscavige, a relationship that lasted for decades in the public eye. This deep connection to Scientology became a defining part of Tom's public image and a continuing source of controversy. What few people realized at the time was that this growing influence would shape not only his personal decisions, but also his future relationships. While filming Days of Thunder in 1990, Tom met actress Nicole Kidman. They married later that year on Christmas Eve. Together, they adopted 2 children, Isabella in 1992 and Connor in 1995. For many years, the couple appeared to be Hollywood royalty. However, behind the scenes, cracks were forming. In February 2001, their separation was announced, and Tom filed for divorce just days later, citing irreconcilable differences. Years afterward, Nicole reflected on that period and said she had been a child who needed to grow up. Former Scientology executive Mike Rinder later claimed the church played a significant role in the split. He alleged that Tom was pressured through intense auditing sessions and that Nicole's phone was even tapped. Nicole also addressed deeply personal experiences that she felt had been widely misreported. Many outlets incorrectly described the situation as a miscarriage. She clarified the confusion by explaining, "It was huge news, and it didn't happen. I did have a miscarriage at the end of my marriage, but earlier, at the beginning of my marriage, I experienced an ectopic pregnancy." As time passed, the image of a perfect family quickly disappeared. The marriage came to an end, and both individuals moved on separately. Not long after the divorce, Tom entered new emotional and romantic territory, and questions surrounding outside influence continued to grow. Discussion soon turned to his relationships and the idea of control. Following the divorce, Tom began dating actress Penelope Cruz, his co-star from Vanilla Sky. Their relationship lasted nearly 3 years before coming to an end in 2004. In 2012, Vanity Fair released a highly controversial report claiming that after the breakup, Scientology leaders launched a secret initiative to find Tom a new girlfriend. According to sources, this effort allegedly involved auditions with actresses who were members of Scientology. One of the reported relationships involved actress Nazanin Boniadi, who later left the church. Both Scientology representatives and Tom's legal team firmly denied the allegations, threatening legal action and labeling the article as irresponsible journalism and an act of religious bias. Later, journalist Roger Friedman stated that he had received confirmation from director and former Scientologist Paul Haggis, who supported the claims made in the report. Over time, these stories created an image of significant control over Tom's personal life. Fans began asking more questions. Was Tom making his own relationship decisions freely, or was his faith playing a much larger role than anyone realized? As the years went by and his family became more removed from public view, attention gradually shifted to the most personal bond of all, his relationship with his daughter, Suri, and why that connection would eventually dominate headlines. But before the silence settled in, there had been a love story that nearly everyone believed in. It was a whirlwind romance that seemed to promise a flawless family future. The world soon came to know it by one unforgettable name, Tom Cat. In early 2005, Hollywood appeared to gain a powerful new couple almost overnight. After Tom Cruise ended his marriage to Nicole Kidman and later separated from Penelope Cruz, public attention quietly turned toward actress Katie Holmes. At the time, Holmes was engaged to Chris Klein. Everything shifted when a past comment resurfaced. In a 2004 interview, Holmes had once admitted, "I used to think that I was going to marry Tom Cruise." 6 months later, her engagement to Klein ended. By April 2005, Holmes was spotted with Cruise in Rome. Just 2 days after that, the pair made their first red carpet appearance together at the David D. Donatello Awards. Fans quickly gave them the nickname Tomcat, and images of their affectionate public moments soon filled magazines everywhere. Holmes later spoke openly about her feelings, saying, "When I met Tom, I was completely in love. And yes, I admired him growing up. He's Tom Cruise." The excitement surrounding them felt unstoppable. Shortly afterward, Cruise delivered one of the most iconic television moments in pop culture history. During his appearance on The Oprah Winfrey Show in May 2005, he famously jumped on Oprah's couch while expressing his intense love for Holmes, even bringing her on stage with him. The moment quickly spread across the globe. Some viewers found the display romantic, while others questioned his behavior and the authenticity of the relationship. Still, Cruise remained unapologetic. Just 1 month later, in June 2005, he announced their engagement. He proposed in Paris with a 5-carat yellow diamond ring. Speaking at a press event, Cruise said, "Today is a magnificent day for me. I'm engaged to a magnificent woman." Although their whirlwind romance had only just begun, major life changes were already unfolding. In April 2006, Holmes gave birth to their first child, a daughter named Suri, in Santa Monica, California. Their happiness became a public moment when Suri appeared on the cover of Vanity Fair later that year. Holmes described the life-altering experience in her own words, saying, "The moment the doctor handed me Suri, I was ready. The feeling is indescribable. All I can say is, the moment I looked into her eyes, I felt like a mom." The world watched as Cruise and Holmes stepped into parenthood together. Only months later, in November 2006, the couple married in an extravagant ceremony held at a castle in Italy. The wedding reportedly cost more than $3 million. The guest list included high-profile celebrities such as Jennifer Lopez and Mark Anthony, John Travolta and Kelly Preston, and David and Victoria Beckham. Holmes chose her sister Nancy as her maid of honor, while Cruise selected Scientology leader David Miscavige as his best man. For Katie, who had once dreamed of marrying Cruise as a teenager, the moment felt like a real-life fairy tale. The couple appeared to have it all: a glamorous marriage, a growing family, and constant public attention. Yet behind the photographs and headlines, many quietly wondered whether the intense spotlight and outside pressures were creating cracks that no one could yet see. Then came the sudden ending and the lingering questions. In June 2012, the story took an unexpected turn. Shortly after Cruise gave a Playboy interview praising Holmes, she filed for divorce. Cruise later admitted to CBS News that he never expected the marriage to end. The legal process moved swiftly, with a settlement reached in just 11 days. Neither Cruise nor Holmes spoke much publicly about what truly happened between them, but rumors quickly grew louder than any official statements. Many believed Holmes wanted to shield her daughter from what she viewed as the strict world of Scientology. During Cruise's deposition in a lawsuit against Bauer Media, he was directly asked whether Holmes had left him in part to protect Suri from Scientology. Offended by the suggestion, he answered firmly, "There is no need to protect my daughter from my religion." When questioned again about whether Holmes herself had mentioned protecting Suri, he responded, "Did she say that?" That was one of the assertions. Yes. After the divorce, Holmes was awarded primary custody of Suri, while Cruise was granted visitation rights. Even so, reports soon claimed that he rarely saw his daughter. In 2016, In Touch Weekly reported that Cruise had not seen or spoken to Suri in more than 1,000 days, nearly 2.5 years. What began as one of Hollywood's most public love stories now felt distant and unresolved. Headlines shifted from romance to separation, from family photos to unanswered questions. Fans were left wondering how a relationship that started so loudly could end so quietly. While the adults stepped out of the spotlight, one small life remained at the heart of the story. A child who had once been surrounded by cameras was now growing up quietly, out of view. Her journey began in a moment the world still remembers clearly. From America's baby to a private teen, Suri Cruise entered the world with a level of attention no child could ever escape. Born on April 18, 2006, to Hollywood superstars Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, she was instantly labeled the most famous baby in America. The world waited months to finally see her face, and when that moment came, it happened in grand fashion on the cover of Vanity Fair, cradled by her smiling parents in photographs taken by renowned photographer Annie Leibovitz. At that time, Suri was everywhere. Fashion blogs tracked her outfits. Paparazzi followed her every step. Cameras documented her childhood daily. Yet, as she grew older, something changed. Instead of becoming more public, her life became increasingly guarded. Holmes slowly pulled her daughter away from the spotlight. Living in Manhattan, Suri grew up largely out of view, protected by her mother and far removed from the influence of her father's world inside Scientology. As she turns 18, the choice before her feels heavy. She can step back into fame or continue living the quiet life her mother worked so hard to create. Industry insiders say Suri and her father have no relationship at all. One source explained, "Katie has safeguarded Suri and she's a devoted mom. This is a girl who is a private citizen. She hasn't lived her life in public." Holmes herself addressed this decision clearly when she told Glamour in 2023 that she wanted to protect Suri from the spotlight because she had been so visible at a young age. She then added words that revealed the depth of their bond: "I'm very grateful to be a parent, to be her parent. She's an incredible person. She's my heart." Those words highlight a life that looks nothing like the beginning Suri had, a life shaped more by protection than publicity. Still, one enormous unanswered question remains quietly behind that careful shield: Tom's promises and the fall of a family. Before everything unraveled, Tom Cruise spoke with absolute certainty about the kind of father he wanted to be. In 2006, when Suri was born, he told Vanity Fair, "My whole life, I always wanted to be a father. I always said to myself that my children would be able to depend on me, and I would always be there for them and love them. That I'd never make a promise to my kids that I couldn't keep." He continued by saying he didn't believe a child could be spoiled with too much love. You can never give a child too much love. There's just no way. At the time, Tom already had 2 adopted children, Isabella and Connor, from his marriage to Nicole Kidman. He proudly introduced Suri to the public, smiling for cameras after famously declaring his love for Katie by jumping on Oprah Winfrey's couch and shouting, "I'm in love." Yet, when Suri was only 6 years old, everything shifted. In 2012, Holmes filed for divorce after 6 years of marriage. She reportedly planned it quietly with the help of her father, lawyer Martin Holmes, and used burner phones to keep the process private. Cruise was working in Iceland on the movie Oblivion when he learned the news and was completely shocked. The last time Tom and Suri were seen together was shortly afterward during a family visit to Disney World in the summer of 2012. After that, the public moment stopped. Soon after, during a deposition connected to Cruise's lawsuit against tabloids, court documents revealed his admission that Holmes had filed for divorce to protect Suri from Scientology. Although the divorce agreement included yearly payments of $400,000 until Suri turned 18, along with full coverage for healthcare and schooling, reports began to surface suggesting that the emotional connection had faded. In 2016, In Touch Weekly claimed Cruise had not seen or spoken to Suri in more than 1,000 days. The once loud father-daughter bond had fallen silent, and that silence only deepened the mystery surrounding why contact never resumed. Scientology's shadow over their lives. Scientology sits at the center of nearly every question about the distance between Tom and Suri. Holmes is believed to have signed non-disclosure agreements tied to her marriage and time connected to the church, meaning she cannot speak freely about what happened behind closed doors. However, when Suri turned 18, she reached what New York law calls the age of majority, becoming legally free to speak if she ever chooses to do so. Journalist Tony Ortega explained, Suri would have been too young to sign any agreement, but she will now be free to talk if she wants to, and it's going to be really interesting if she has something to say. Ortega added that part of Katie's decision to leave when Suri was just 6 may have been based on what she saw happening with Tom's older children inside Scientology. Scientology itself is strict when people leave. Members who quit are often labeled suppressive persons or SPS, and remaining members may be told to disconnect from them entirely. Ortega acknowledged the confusing gray area around Tom's situation. We don't know for sure if Katie was ever declared an SP. He said, if you are a regular church member, you could be told to disconnect from your wife and daughter, but because Tom is a celebrity, he's the top celebrity, he gets to ignore all this stuff. Your average member would be kicked out. But David Mskovich can't do that with Tom. 2 former Scientologists, Mike Reinda and Jeff Augustine, supported this claim. Augustine's wife once held one of the highest positions in the church before leaving. Augustine explained the deeper issue by saying, the situation with Suri is a larger story about Scientology and the subject of how they make people no longer useful to them or threats to them non-persons. It's like they cease to exist. And that's what happened to Suri. For many outsiders, those words gave voice to fears that Suri's separation was not just about family tension, but about systems much bigger than any one relationship. Suri's quiet voice and the road ahead. Despite growing up away from public attention, Suri has shown small signs of her creative side. While attending her exclusive Manhattan school, she sang the song Blue Moon in the opening credits of Holmes's 2022 film Alone Together. Holmes described the moment simply. I always want the highest level of talent, so I asked her. She's very, very talented. She said she would do it and she recorded it and I let her do her thing. Suri later sang again in Holmes's film Rare Objects. Still, her overall life remains private. Holmes has carefully avoided talking too much about her daughter, once describing her strength by saying, she came out very strong. She's always been a strong personality. As Suri now prepares for college, Holmes admitted that letting go won't be easy. You want them to stay with you forever, but they're these amazing beings, and you have to do everything you can to give them what they need, and then they're going to go, she told Town and Country. And that's going to be very, very sad for me. Meanwhile, former Scientology spokesperson Mike Reinda, who himself lost contact with 2 of his own children after leaving the church, offered a final and emotional statement. Suri is not a Scientologist and never will be. She deserves love and sympathy. With adulthood now beginning, Suri stands at a crossroad between the life she was born into and the quiet world her mother built around her. And the world watches closely, waiting to see which path she will choose next. And while Suri quietly moved forward into adulthood, her father was stepping back into the spotlight. The cameras would soon turn toward him again. This time, one simple question would reopen the entire conversation. The Father's Day question that stopped everyone cold. In May 2025, Tom Cruise appeared at the New York premiere of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, where he was asked an innocent question by E! News. The reporter wanted to know what his ideal Father's Day would look like. Tom paused before answering. You know, he said slowly. Then he replied, just having fun, man, he added. Making movies, big adventures, having a great time. Many fans were left stunned by the reaction. There was no mention of his children at all. It felt awkward to those watching, especially knowing his history as a father to 3 kids. Bella, now 32, Connor, now 30, whom he adopted with ex-wife Nicole Kidman, and Suri, now 19, whom he shares with third wife Katie Holmes. Tom and Katie were married for 6 years before separating in 2012 when Holmes moved to the East Coast to raise Suri in New York. Since that period, Tom has not been seen publicly spending time with Suri. Meanwhile, Suri is now attending college at Carnegie Mellon University in Pennsylvania. She frequently returns to New York to be with her mother, with whom she has always shared a deeply close and supportive relationship. What made the Father's Day moment even more difficult to overlook was that Suri had already made a quiet but meaningful decision that spoke volumes without saying a word. It was a personal choice tied to her identity, one that sent a clear message through a change of last name. In 2024, Suri stopped using the surname Cruise and instead chose to adopt her mother's middle name, Noel, as her own last name. This decision immediately drew attention. It was first noticed on the casting sheet for her high school musical, The Addams Family, where she performed the role of Morticia Addams under the name Suri Noel. The same name appeared on her LaGuardia High School graduation pamphlet and later on the Broadway playbill for Head Over Heels, where she was again listed as Suri Noel. While it remains uncertain whether this name change has been made legal, insiders say the meaning behind it was both personal and powerful. One source told Page Six that Suri was honoring her mother by using her middle name and that she wanted to establish her own identity, separate from her absent father. Those close to the situation confirmed that Suri and Tom have been estranged since his split from Holmes. Reports state that Suri made this choice entirely on her own as a tribute to the woman who raised her almost completely by herself. The timing surrounding her graduation only made the message louder. The day after Suri completed her studies at LaGuardia High School, Tom was photographed in London attending a Taylor Swift concert. Fans were shocked to see the actor enjoying the show while his daughter was marking one of the most important milestones of her life. For many, the moment reinforced the belief that while Suri was moving forward and carving her own path, her father remained both physically and emotionally distant. Many believe Tom's connection to the Church of Scientology has played a role in the divide between father and daughter. His two older children, Bella and Connor, whom he shares with Nicole Kidman, are active Scientologists and have been seen with Tom in recent years. Suri, however, has remained completely separate from that world. Court documents show that Tom fulfilled all of his financial obligations to Suri. He paid $400,000 per year in child support until she turned 18 and covered her medical, dental, insurance, education, college expenses, and other extracurricular costs. Still, despite this financial support, there has been no public sign of a relationship between them. Behind the scenes, Katie Holmes focused on raising Suri quietly and safely. In an interview with InStyle, Holmes spoke about the immense pressure she felt while protecting her daughter during the media frenzy following the divorce. She said, "That time was intense. There was a lot of attention, and I had a little child on top of it. We still had some funny moments out in public." She later added, "Now I feel like I can be more creative, have more time, and have my voice." Holmes also shared how she worked to shape Suri into a strong and independent young woman. She explained that she wanted to make sure Suri was fully herself, strong, confident, capable, and aware of her own strength. Holmes said that Suri grew up very strong and has always had a determined personality. She described how Suri would choose an activity, work tirelessly until she became skilled at it, and then move on to the next challenge. According to Holmes, Suri is highly focused and an extremely hard worker. These reflections highlight how much effort went into giving Suri stability, especially far removed from the world her father embraced. It was a choice that helped shape who Suri would become as she stepped into adulthood, opting for a more normal life away from fame. Despite being the daughter of one of the richest and most famous actors in the world, Suri has shown that she prefers a quiet, grounded lifestyle. In July 2025, she was seen riding the New York City subway after returning home from college in Pittsburgh. Like any ordinary commuter, she was dressed simply in a cropped gray shirt, dark leggings, retro sneakers, long socks, and a navy tote bag. Her hair was pulled back into a casual ponytail. There were no bodyguards or visible signs of celebrity life as she blended in seamlessly with the crowd. Reports from the Daily Mail claimed that Suri had gained access to part of a trust fund left by her father and that millions awaited her in the future. However, Katie Holmes quickly denied those claims on Instagram. She posted a screenshot of the article and wrote, "Completely false. Daily Mail, you can stop making stuff up." In the caption, she firmly added, "Enough." Fans quickly rallied behind her. One supporter commented, "Only you know the truth, and that's what counts. We love you and believe you." Another wrote, "Way to stand up for your daughter, Katie. I can't imagine how hard it is, but you're doing an amazing job. The media needs to leave kids alone." As Suri balances college life, creative projects, and trips back to New York, her choices quietly reveal something powerful. While her father continues to live a life filled with premieres and grand adventures, Suri is choosing a very different path, one rooted in privacy, independence, and the steady love of the mother who stood by her side. Do you think Suri will ever reconnect with Tom as an adult? And which path do you believe she will choose, a quiet life or a return to the public eye? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.